Secretary of Homeland Security John Kelly spoke out today about President Trump's executive orders. The secretary defended the president's order, saying that it's not a ban on Muslims, but a move meant to protect American lives. The secretary also tried to explain the president's policy on extreme vetting.
We have to be convinced that people that come here, there's a reasonable expectation that we don't know who they are and what they're coming here for and what their backgrounds are. And right now, there are a number of countries on the planet that don't have that that kind of records keeping, police work, that kind of thing. And the 7 in question right now, for the most part, fall into that category.
Well, CBS Justice correspondent Paula Reid is live in Washington. Paula, you were at that press briefing. Did Secretary Kelly make a convincing case today?
Clearly, the White House is in damage mode, and Secretary Kelly was sent to try to repair things. Specifically, he had to defend the policy itself and its implementation. Now, on the issue of the policy itself, he was adamant this is not a Muslim ban. But when we pressed him, me, other reporters, we kept asking him, we said, did you have any input in this policy? Specifically, did you suggest things for green card holders and people who had visas because of their association with the U.S. military? Clearly, these were things that were going to cause problems. Vlad, it became clear that the Department of Homeland Security did not have that kind of input, and that this was dictated from the top down, and that they were really largely responsible for implementation. And on that point, Secretary Kelly said that they did the best they could. He argues that they did follow judges' orders that came in throughout the weekend. But we know the fact is that some judges' orders were not followed. For example, ordering the government to make sure these people were getting lawyers. We know that there were a lot of difficulties across the country. They admitted that perhaps communication between the agencies was not the best.
Paul, I want to ask you about the other story, the Justice Department, President Trump firing the acting Attorney General, Sally Yates, yesterday for refusing to defend his executive order on immigration. What's the sense at DOJ? Are people concerned about whether they'll be able to make legal decisions without the fear of retribution from the White House?
Well, the White House is trying to argue that because the Office of Legal Counsel, which is a part of the Department of Justice, found this legal, that Sally Yates had to implement it. But the fact is, the Office of Legal Counsel reviewed this as it would any executive order for its form, for its legality. And Sally Yates argued that her responsibility as acting Attorney General was broader than that she had to focus on the actual policy and its implementation. So absolutely, Rena, there are concerns now within the Department of Justice as to whether or not it can act and make legal decisions independent of the White House without fear of retribution. And that's especially important given the fact that the Department of Justice has ongoing investigations into the president's associates and will face this problem with all of the president's policies going forward.
So let's actually talk about that, Paula. Senator Jeff Sessions, if he is confirmed as Attorney General, he'll likely be part of those investigations you just mentioned into President Trump and some of his associates. So why hasn't he promised to recuse himself?
Well, he will be a big part. He'll be leading those investigations as the nation's top law enforcement official. He has said that he will not recuse himself. He testified at his confirmation hearing because he does not believe there is a basis to do so. His argument was that cabinet officials will have historically always, presumably, supported the candidate that nominated them, and that they cannot be asked to withdraw themselves from anything having to do with the president. But as we saw with the previous Justice Department, the Obama Justice Department, they were truly damaged by even the appearance of impropriety, specifically when Attorney General Loretta Lynch met with former President Clinton on the plane in that tarmac, and how they handled the overall Clinton investigation. So at this point, he says he won't appoint a special prosecutor, but giving that investigation, the ones into Trump and his associates, to someone else could alleviate a lot of problems for him down the road.
Paula Reid in Washington. Thanks, Paula.